What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of From the Logo Podcast. We got Gifted in the building. What's going on, Gifted?
What's good? What's good? What's good? Every day I'm going through some technical difficulties with this PC again. It's crazy, but
bro, you
made
had
it through.
an interesting 3 months with that PC, bro. It may be time for you to get a new one, bro.
Maybe I've had it for 7 years now. So maybe.
Yeah, it's ancient in compute in technology. 7 years.
I feel that. But listen, I got good specs though. Like I tried to future proof it to last 10 years. I'm like,
I mean,
3 years away.
You must have dropped some money on that mug then.
Yes, I dropped $3,000 on
my custom PC. I spent $3,500 on it, and that was almost 5 years ago. Starting to get a little long in the tooth. So
word. Hey, listen, I'm gonna make it through. I'm gonna make it through,
bro. You gotta do what you gotta do. The good thing about building your own PCs too is you can take out components. But anyway, we're here to talk basketball.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you wanted to start off talking about this OKC Thunder game, Denver Nuggets game, to spin off into the main conversation that we want to have. The Thunder lost their first game yesterday to the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets, who started off the season really slow. Jokic was putting up crazy numbers. They're now 5-3 on the season. This is why you don't want to have too big overreactions. Russell Westbrook looked really good in the game last night as well against the OKC Thunder, going 10-15, 29 points. How you feeling about the game, Gifted?
Honestly, I think this is a very important win for Denver with Gordon being out due to injury. Very, very tough. They're already not playing great basketball as a unit. Jokic has been great, but their bench hasn't really given them much production. But seeing players step up in big spots matters. Russell Westbrook as a starter for Denver is averaging nearly 18 points, and they're undefeated, which is a good sign. Obviously, he's still super duper early, but I've seen his team be in dogfights with a lot of different teams. So for them to face a team that a lot of people feel like is the best or second best team in the league and come out victorious speaks volumes to how good they, could be, because they did that without Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray in the lineup. That's a huge win.
That is huge for them, especially when you look at what Jamal Murray does as far as changing the energy and the tone of that team. And Aaron Gordon's he's been like the perfect role player. Than just a normal role player, but he's just been perfect since he really got to Denver, just fitting in, doing what needs to be done. He was hitting threes at a decent rate before he went down as well. So yeah, it's a big win for them to get it. Their third in a row on top of that. Has that one loss taken any of the luster off of the OKC Thunder for you at all?
Not at all. They've been blowing out all these teams by such a huge margin. They lost Shea. I would like him to just go back to his regular play style. I think what OKC is doing right now is a lot of experimentation. Shea is taking pretty much a career high in terms of threes. He's taking a lot of threes, and I'm of the mindset that threes are important. Threes are super efficient in the game, but when you're that elite of a 2-point scorer in the mid-range and the paint, you don't need to have a high volume of threes. 4 or 5 is just fine. There's no way Shea should have a game where he's taking 15 threes. That's just a lot of 3-pointers,
Especially for, it shouldn't happen, but, it is what it is when it comes down to it. I think ultimately, one of the things about the OKC Thunder and the legitimate concerns about the Thunder is that they do have a problem sometimes shooting 3-pointers, right? And I think as teams kind of adapt to what they've done, and especially if they face a team that's really solid on both sides of the ball, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes over the course of the season. But listen, you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you got Chet Holmgren, who's been playing out of his mind so far this season. I still very much so believe in the Thunder.
I mean, listen, Chet has damn near performed at an MVP level, and this is without his 3-pointer falling at the same rate that it normally does. So they look like a very dominant team. There is no chip off of their shoulder. They're easily still a top 3 team in terms of how teams are looking right now. We play them soon, so I can't wait to see how that looks for the Golden State Warriors. But trust me, OKC is still very much like that. They are to be a respected threat in this conference for sure. They're still going to win 60 games. They're on pace. They're going to probably do that still.
Now, you brought them up, so I know we're going to get into Cavs and Thunder, who's the more legitimate contender, but the Golden State Warriors are also 7-1 on the season. And this is after a time period where they missed Steph. What, he missed 3 games for them?
Yeah.
3 games. Then you got Draymond Green, who's back to playing at an all defensive level. That's just ridiculous. He's having his best defensive rating, I think, in 4 years. This is his first time having a sub 110 defensive rating in 4 years, and he's locked in defensively. And I tell you what, Hill coming off the bench, Kuminga's been better since they brought him off the bench as well. You had Pods and those, like, I'm not saying right now that the Warriors are like a threat to make it out the Western Conference. I got to see it over a sustained amount of time. But I tell you what, for people who counted out the Golden State Warriors heading into the season, it's time to wake up.
I mean, like I said this multiple times in the offseason, like I kind of had this team near the playing range because of the uncertainty of the pieces and how they would fit. But really, because there's no reliable secondary scorer on this team, Steph's age, how his games play will really impact the team. And more importantly, is Draymond going to play 60 games? And so far, I'll say the one thing that is known about Draymond is when he thinks a team has a chance, a real chance, he doesn't mess it up in the regular season. I think last year we looked very, very hazy and sloppy to start, to where his behavior super impacted the whole season. This group just has a much better vibe around it. He said in preseason that this is probably the best vibes he's experienced in any preseason before the regular season. And right now it's showing. I mean, they're playing with poise. They have the #1 net rating after last night's win over Boston, which was a huge win. So I like what I'm seeing, but I'm not falling for 9 games or 10 games. We have a very important stretch. Again, Cleveland and OKC are matchups that are coming up for this Golden State team. And there's going to be more to evaluate as we get a larger sample size of these teams.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just a young part of the season. Like, there's so much left to be told. There's so much season left to be played. Like, there's so much left to be played. And like, we're already seeing like a team like the Philadelphia 76ers with Tyrese Maxey going down today, on top of the injuries they've already had. Like, that could be a team that just never catches its footing at all.
They can't ever have a normal season. Every season, something happens to just blow things off track. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, if you look at what the 76ers have already been through the season, Embiid being out, then suspended, and he's been fined, Paul George being out, coming back, now Tyrese Maxey being down. And we're talking about, we're 2.5 weeks into the season and all that crap's happening. That's crazy.
1-6.
Yeah, the 1-6. Listen, I'll tell you what. Listen, if the 76ers end up with a lottery pick, do they have their own pick this year?
Do they? I actually don't know. Hang on.
Now I got to look into this, because I'm telling you right now, if the Philadelphia 76ers, after revamping this team, end up with a goddamn lottery pick, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. That's what's going to happen.
Let's see, 2026.
They have their own pick in 2025. They have their own pick.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Top 6 protected.
Okay, word.
So if the season keeps going left for them, you never know what that's going to mean. But let's get to the title of this show today, Gifted. Who's the more legit contender? Now, of course, the Cavs are the lone unbeaten team right now in the NBA. Darius Garland and Evan Mobley both seem like they're ready to make a considerable leap or step, whatever you want to view it, this year. OKC Thunder, they haven't even had Isaiah Hartenstein there yet. Yes, they got one loss now, but still playing great on both sides of the ball. That defense, and with the OKC Thunder, the different looks between Cason Wallace and Wiggins and even Shea and Alex Caruso, like, very dangerous defensive matchup with the offensive ceiling that they have as well. Who do you view right now as the more legitimate contender to make it to NBA Finals?
So in terms of what we've watched on the season, the Cleveland Cavaliers are undefeated. OKC is not. But if you're asking me who I think it is, I still think the answer has to be OKC. They have the #1 defense in the league, and it's by a pretty big margin. Obviously, very limited sample size to evaluate, but they've blown out a lot of teams because of their defense. Chet Holmgren defensively just looks like he's on a tear. I'm pretty sure I said in one of these episodes, Chet is definitely up there for me in terms of DPOY chances because of how good they're going to look. But just the assortment of players who are just there, like from Chet to J-Dub to Caruso, who can't put the ball in the basket but can lock you up still. Even I would say a young player like Wallace off their bench, who's just been so good as well. They just have so much length around them. And I feel like their system defensively is very, very good. Cleveland, you can say the same thing about 100%. The only thing with Cleveland is they don't really have a sample size to go off of outside of last season. And I don't really count last season for them because it was super up and down. And there's a new head coach. Kenny Atkinson has revamped everything in Cleveland. but I think the infrastructure of what OKC has is a bit more viable, not just for the regular season, but also the playoffs. I think the Cavs were an easy lock. I'm pretty sure we both said they're going to be a very good team in the regular season, but how that translates to playoffs, can Evan Mobley, continue to be a positive to their offense? I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, coming into the season, I think there was a lot of questions from everybody, me, you, and ZZ, as far as like, can Evan Mobley be his best self with Jared Allen there? And so far through the season, the answer looks like yes. Like it looks like yes, but of course you want to see it. You want to see sustain for a whole season. Here's the way I'm going to flip it on you though.
Okay.
How much do you have to weigh though the path to get to the NBA Finals? Because I tell you what, going through the West is going to be a lot more difficult than going through the East. While if we're just talking about who's the better team, I will say the OKC Thunder. But when you have to take into consideration of the path that it's going to take for the respective teams to get to the NBA Finals, listen, right now, the 10th seed, for example, in the Eastern Conference has they have 3 wins. Already to start the season off. The 10th seed will be the Lakers in the Western Conference. They're a 500 team. The path in the West is a lot more difficult. So how much do you have to factor that in as well on how their chances to get to the finals?
See, it's funny because I actually disagree. I think the path in the Eastern Conference is harder. And the reason why I would say that is at the end of the day, Cleveland is going to have to beat Boston. And I feel like if you look at the Western Conference, OKC is looked at to be the Boston of that conference, right? Mm-hmm. Cleveland is not. Cleveland has to prove themselves as a playoff team, sure, but to be good enough to be better than Boston, who has also been a top 3 team. And that's without Porzingis being there.
That's
so
true as well.
To me, it's like if my options are the Lakers, maybe the Warriors, maybe Denver, all these other teams. I think a lot of these teams in the West look shaken right now. Teams are trying to really, really, really adjust. But OKC has a clear path to being the best team in the conference. And I think based on there not being a team at the caliber of a Boston in the West, their path is easier by proxy.
I can get with the logic that you have there. And hopefully this year Boston doesn't run into a situation where, the number 1, number 2 player, whatever, is not injured on every team they face in the playoffs.
I knew he was going to say that.
I got to throw a little shade out there.
Yeah.
I mean, don't make no mistake about it. Boston is playing amazing basketball right now. And the thing that Boston does so well is Boston is so good at maximizing on the things that they do well and then taking away or slowing down the thing that the opposing team does so well. That's such a crazy dynamic to watch. And they do the same thing night in and night out. Then on top of that as well, Boston Celtics to me, and you can tell me how you feel about this, Gifted, is that we still haven't seen the brand of defense yet this season that we know Boston. We've seen good defense, but not the brand of defense that we know that they're capable of and that we've seen in prior years. And especially with Porzingis still out, I just say that they still have such a ceiling to their team that I don't think that we've seen it all quite yet.
And that right there is what makes me nervous and why I still think they're probably the best team in the league. We haven't seen them all the way healthy. Their defense hasn't looked the same. And yet, despite all of that, they're still the most explosive offense in the NBA. I mean, I looked up the numbers last night. Boston is still number 1 offensively, and it's without their defense aiding it. Now, granted, they still have found ways to lock in and really blitz teams, but a lot of it is just the shot quality is ridiculous. I mean, in last night's game, I'm watching every single quarter, Hayes, right? Golden State limits Boston to 40 points and a half. Boston responds by dropping 41 in a quarter. That's just how dominant their offense has been this whole year. So for me, when Jaylen Brown comes back and when Porzingis comes back and they get further and further into the season, once that defense rounds back into shape and they already have the offense, it's going to be lights out for a lot of teams.
It really is. I mean, the Boston Celtics are just this giant that I can't even call them a sleeping giant because, like you said, they're playing amazing basketball right now. They're beating teams on average by double-digit points every single night.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy right now. If we have to say one thing that's kind of a Achilles heel by Boston right now, especially with Kristaps out, is that they are very much live by the 3, die by the 3, but they still have that defense to rely on. Yeah. And I can't wait to see how the Boston Celtics adjust when they go through a stretch of games, not just one game of cold shooting, because it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, and I want to give Tatum a lot of credit too, because the way Tatum has started out the year, he's playing poised, he's getting downhill more, he's being a more overall effective and efficient player. I like this version of him. The problem with Tatum is we see this version a lot at the start of seasons. How this will sustain for the rest of the year isn't question, but he's unquestionably playing as if he is a top 10 player, undoubtedly, probably top 5 this season. He's been that good so far.
Yeah, he's been that good so far at the start of the season. It's like, and he's playing such a well-rounded game. While that Boston Celtics team is very reliant on the three ball, like Jason Tatum's been playing amazing right now. Now, I know we're talking about the Celtics. We got here organically. Jaylen Brown is out right now, and they don't know how long it's going to be. It is a hip thing. How successful do you think the Celtics is going to be while Jaylen Brown's out this stretch he's going to be out?
I think they're going to still be good. I just feel like the way that they generate shot quality, I can hear arguments about their shooting not sustaining, but it's a level of open shots they consistently generate. Even when those threes aren't falling, there's games that I can point to where, okay, yeah, the threes didn't fall, but they still executed their offense perfectly as a team. And shot quality to me is what always will translate. I'll give you a prime example, right? They were in a dogfight against the Detroit Pistons, by the way, another team who's looking much better than last year. And despite the fact that their threes weren't falling, the way that they were able to just out-execute them in the fourth quarter to seal that game is the edge they still have over a lot of these other teams. Just the experience of understanding how to win ball games at a high level. And then those are not counting the games where they are shooting high and they just completely bliss you out the gym.
Yeah, that's a fact. We'll see how that develops. Now, we started this off talking about the Thunder and the Cavs. I want to get back to it because it seems like both of us are very high on the Thunder and their chances to make it to the finals. Another question, what do you think right now is the Thunder's biggest Achilles heel with their team?
I think their biggest Achilles heel is probably going to be their offensive explosion at times. Their defense is legitimate, but Alex Caruso, last I checked, was averaging like 2.7 points on terrible splits. He cannot throw a shot into the ocean. And I was saying this before they got him, like, yes, he's very good, but there's a reason why he doesn't play starters minutes. If you're in the playoffs and he's lights out defensively, but offensively, teams can feel comfortable at helping off of him. That does impact the scheme. And also, I'm a bit concerned. I'm not overtly crazy about it. I still think they'll be a much better team, but a huge part of why Chet looks so good is he's exploiting advantages playing the 5, not the 4. Right? Like, I want him to still remain at that 5 spot, and I'm hoping that when Hartenstein comes back, they're able to really find that good balance, unless they just run more staggers, because Chet at the 5 gives them their most explosive offensive sets. Moving Chet to the 4, I don't think will give you the same value, and that matters when you play super elite teams.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, I think that and coming into the season, I actually thought moving Chet to the 4 was going to make him more dangerous, but he seems like he has such a big understanding. But I feel comfortable in that they're going to work it out. Now, you mentioned Alex Caruso. You mentioned him being a liability. Now, it's a young part of the season, but so far right now, in every metric, the Thunder are a better team when he's on the court. They average a higher point differential when he's on the court, more points per 100 possessions when he's on the court. The defense, the opposing teams are much worse when he's on the court as well. But the point that you raised is so interesting because especially as you get into the playoffs, it's important that everybody on the court be at least a threat, right, to make an open shot. And Caruso got to get back to what he was last year. If I'm not mistaken, with the Bulls last year, he was like almost a 40% three-point shooter. He's not even scratching that so far.
No, and like it's not on like a high volume. It's such a weird case because like there's not many players that individually look so bad shooting wise, but then impact wise, when you watch him and you actually see what his numbers are, he's impacting the greatness of their team. And I think that's great for right now. But if you're projecting for like a whole playoff series, I don't believe in that. When you play a elite team where Chet, J-Dub, and maybe Shay's overall impact in their production goes down because they're playing a really good defense, those offensive percentages matter a lot more, especially if the team shooting for OKC reversed, because we saw it when it was Shea basically trying to solo the entire Dallas Mavericks because everyone's collective shooting wasn't the same.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Like, and that's the thing. What Jalen Williams is playing great at the start of the season, averaging almost 20 points per game.
He's playing really good.
Yeah, he's playing really, really well. But of course, like, he got so cold shooting last year in the playoffs that it was just like, I hope that we don't see a repeat of that, because unless Alex Caruso does step up then, or Casey Wallace steps up, or whatever it is, if Jalen Williams has another period shooting when it matters the most, like he did last year, they better hope Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein are killing it.
I think a very important role player for them too has to be Aaron Wiggins.
Oh,
Aaron Wiggins' impact on both ends, especially what he can do offensively, can give them a lot of value in the playoffs for sure this year.
That's 100% fact. Same question though for the Cavs. Let's flip it. What do you think right now would be the Cavs' biggest Achilles heel? Is it the fact that they haven't done it yet at the same level that we've seen the OKC Thunder? Do you think that eventually Evan Mobley and Darius Garland aren't going to be able to keep this up? How are you feeling about the Cavs and their biggest Achilles heel?
It's so hard for me to answer that question because the Cavs have been playing lights out basketball, man. Mm-hmm. I just love the style. It's crazy how much of a difference coaching makes, because JB is not a bad coach, right? Like, there's good things he does well, but the way Kenny Atkinson is unlocking, the key word is unlocking this Cavalier offense is ridiculous, man. The way that Evan Mobley is being utilized in offense, I was saying this, right? The way that they're operating in staggers, I kept saying, okay, you need to get Garland unlocked as your second guard, so that way everything isn't just solely Donovan Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And they're doing that with their staggers. Also, Jared Allen's been dummy efficient at the basket. I think right now in the season, he's shooting like maybe 80% from the field. Last I checked, it was 80. It might be lower now because there's been some more games and whatnot, but they've just ran off of
70% from the field. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And now there's more sample size. I checked it was 80 before. So like, he's showing you his value there. But Evan Mobley physically, I think this is the biggest thing, right? The biggest thing you would question about the Cavs is they can be pushed around a little bit. Right. And I still think you might have that question with Jared Allen at times, but Evan Mobley physically looks a lot different. He looks way more built, way stronger. And the biggest thing is they're using Evan Mobley as a guy to get to the basket. And to me, that was the biggest thing. On offense, Mobley can't just be the guy that is trying to shoot, because teams are going to more than likely live with that. But the fact that he is shooting the ball, but is also looking to get to the basket and go downhill in space makes their offense so much better. And then Garland playing this well without Donovan Mitchell having some breakout year so far is very scary, because once Donovan gets it going, that's a completely different team at that point.
Yeah, I mean, and Donovan, like, and the thing that I love of so far about this Cleveland Cavaliers team is that they seem, as a team right now, they're relishing in the fact that Darius Garland has been playing the way that he's. If you listen to the way they talk, they talk so glowingly about what Darius Garland has done this season. That's empowering as well. I know Evan Mobley, he stepped it up, everything, but like Darius Garland, and what if Darius just can stay healthy? This is a player that has not stayed. I don't think he's played over 60 games yet in his NBA career. Somebody fact check me on that one. Oh, he has. He played 68 and 69 games, but like, he just has to stay healthy. If this Darius Garland maintains throughout most of the season and throughout the playoffs, it's going to be crazy, bro.
And they're shooting way more threes as a team. I like the comment in the chat there, because that's a huge thing as well. They just didn't get up enough threes last year. And I just think in space, playing with the staggers gives them room to, play their individual styles more. I just like the way everything fits cleanly now. Now, obviously, how they can hold that up, that does matter. But the fact that Darius Garland can be the guy to take over the game for them next to Donovan Mitchell is great, because Donovan is showing, I can give up the rock. People have questioned their backcourt, but their backcourt has never played awful together. It's just we understand that they are two guards that at times can be better maximized with the ball in their hands. They're both doing a good job of playing off of each other way better, especially with the bigs.
Yeah, 100% agree with you on that one. Let's move on, man. I want to ask you this question. You can name off as many things you have. We can break it down as they go. Sure. What overall in the NBA season has surprised you the most so far this season?
Who surprised me the most? What? Okay. Well, I'm gonna. All right. All right. Listen, I'm gonna just say, got to be Buddy Hield. I think Buddy Hield might be the biggest surprise in the NBA. I'm a Warriors fan, so obviously I'm gonna say that. But bro is averaging, and Hayes, you can fact check me on this. I feel so confident in my ball knowing abilities. Buddy Hield is averaging like 21.1 points per game off of the bench, by the way. I'm pretty sure it was like 51% from the field, 50% from three, 85% from the free throw line. I forget exactly how many minutes a game, but that's what he's doing right now in like 8 games played. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, he's playing amazingly well right now. I mean, and what Buddy Hield is, especially during this time period that they didn't have Steph, like he stepped it up so amazingly well that it was ridiculous. Like
he's the leading scorer right now. Yeah,
what Buddy Hield is doing right now, and this averages, his splits, how efficient he's being, like it almost makes up for the dental bill the Golden State Warriors have to pay for having him on the team.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Okay.
It's still no that. Listen, it's crazy because every time he hits a three, in the chat, our fans and whatnot, like they put in braces and we say, "Good shot, veneers." Like that's what we do.
Crazy.
I ain't gonna lie.
That's wild, bro.
But like, Hayes, 50% on 9.1 threes a game off the bench.
Ridiculous, bro.
Like I said this, right? And like a lot of people laughed at me, right? I said that like Buddy Hield to me is Klay Thompson, and not the Klay Thompson from like the golden era, right? But like he at the very least is Klay from last year, where he could be a player that's like basically up or down. But the difference is the speed and fluidity at which he's moving off the ball, and his self-creation is better. He plays with like much better pace because he's just a faster player than Klay was.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and shout out to Klay, who's actually been playing pretty well for the Dallas Mavericks this season. So shout out to him there. I agree with that being a shock, and just the Golden State Warriors overall being 7-1 right now has just been a huge shock as well. Like for all the doubts coming into this season with this team, for them to be able to perform and Steve Kerr to have them locked in as what they are. Draymond Green being back to defensive player, like defensive
man.
nightmare.
Terry Stotts and Jerry Stackhouse, like. My God, they have evolved this team crazy.
That's a fact. What's next? What else you got next on surprise?
Now, what you got? I'm curious about like what you think your biggest thing has been so far.
You know what? Honestly, and this isn't like it. It's been the initial shock of how good the Lakers looked to the fall off has been a shock for it to happen.
like that.
In 2 weeks.
That's fair.
In 2 weeks, it's gone from like, hey, they won their first 3 games in a row. Hey, JJ Redick has this team together. He has them buying in. He came in with a system which you don't always expect rookie coaches to have. Everybody looked bought in. And then all of a sudden, the same shit started happening. Like, I feel like JJ Redick didn't understand how much he's going to have to do to keep this roster motivated. And now it's just in a place where you're just like, okay, yeah, this is the Lakers that I expected coming into the season. Like, AD's been playing at an MVP level. I love AD. I like the balance that they have. Where like AD has been so good throughout most of these games, but then you also have like those 2 stretches in each half where LeBron just takes over and he's LeBron for a stretch, and then he kind of goes back to just still playing solidly. Like it's been great and fun to see. The Lakers have been a really fun team to watch basketball, even in their losses. It's been a really interesting team to watch this season. Mm-hmm. But just the ebbs and flows throughout 2 weeks so far has just been like, how did we get here?
Yeah, I gotta highlight some stuff, right? First off, JJ Redick has been a phenomenal coach for them, win or loss or whatever. The system and structure in place seems to be integral to their success so far. The players seem happy, everything sounds good. But the issue goes back to what we said in the offseason. JJ, you can be a good coach all you want. This roster is not great. Like, I'm sorry. D'Angelo Russell has been dog shit. Can we just say it? He's been awful to start the year. Awful. And the way I know he's been awful is the fact that last night they're playing Memphis and JJ in the postgame is like, yeah, I pulled them. And they asked him why. Oh, well, because his will to compete wasn't really there. We talked like he's shown it sometimes, but I just feel like we had a much better chance overall to win. Like, I like that accountability because it's not just words, right? If it was Darvin Ham is letting Dennis Schroeder cook, D'Lo cook. He's making excuses. JJ's not doing any of that, and you need that. But that doesn't stop the fact that you're relying on Anthony Davis for everything. Offensively and defensively, he is your best player. If AD don't play, it's very hard for this team to look like a competent team. I think LeBron has had a slow start to the season, had a big game last night, but overall hasn't really looked great himself. And then all throughout the roster, it's like, okay, where is the perimeter defense consistently? They still don't have, I would say, Vanderbilt back
He's never coming back.
They need him too, though.
They do need him. Like that.
They need that. Yeah,
I actually like Jared Vanderbilt a lot, but it's like it's Jared Vanderbilt is at the point now where it's like, did he get hurt sneezing? Is that like every time he does anything, they're gonna be looking like, are you okay? You good? You good?
Yeah, he came in out of nowhere. Like, I didn't even know he was hurt to start the year, and I think they said he'll be back maybe sometime next month. We got to see, but it doesn't help that like Gabe Vincent, which teams, you have to stop signing
Miami
Heat guards. Like the Heat, like bro, it's just clear that like they zapped him of all their magic and they cursed him because he's been dog shit as well. Like they just have a lot of players that are a bit inconsistent, and I feel like moves have to be made to really evolve this roster. But I think JJ Redick is a good coach. I think there are things you can definitely see where they play with more poise and like there's more structure to what they want to do, but they're relying on a lot of unknown players. Like they need Dalton Connect to be a good player, and he's been good so far. I want to give him a ton of credit. We said this, he was potentially the steal of the draft. He's had some very big moments in the regular season thus far, but you need a lot more than that if you want to contend, especially in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. The Lakers they're just one of those teams where it's like, I think if they could just move D'Angelo Russell to go a long way. Like, I'm just not a D'Angelo Russell guy. Like,
I think he makes his whole roster worse.
It just watching him play. Like, it's just like, I'm sure he just strikes me as somebody who just in the locker room, everybody wants to put, like Draymond would punch him. Draymond would have punched somebody. Draymond would have punched somebody.
Yeah, it's like it's tough because he had a very good regular season last year, but I just look at him and I just feel like I cannot rely on you. Like the fact that he said last year, I want to be just like Derek White, and that shit lasted for one preseason and not the rest of the year. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Trash. That's what it is. It's trash. What's your next surprise so far this season, brother?
Next surprise. This is a two-parter. Dennis Schroeder and the Brooklyn Nets. Because a lot of us came in and said, oh my God, the tank job Brooklyn's going to go on. Cam Thomas going to like put up 38 points a game, this, that. Well, I say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be the person that bites the bullet and watches basketball. Because let's be honest, a lot of people are not wasting their time watching these bottom feeder teams. I have built up an extensive portfolio of watching the Bulls. I've been watching the Wizards. And I've been watching all these teams a lot. More than I should. I've been watching it a lot. And for the Nets,
watching the Wizards, bro, that's crazy.
No, listen, ironically though, like I didn't expect it, but it's actually been good hoops. I've actually enjoyed listen, seeing Jordan Poole have an actual revenge year where he's leading his team in points, 3-pointers, assists, and steals. Like they've been fun to watch. Alex Sarr, dog shit offensive player, but defensively, he's been great. Like almost 2 blocks per game right now with them. So I've like seeing some things, but the Nets specifically, Dennis Schroeder is having one of the best comeback years I've seen from a guard that's about to be 30 years old. He's been playing lights out basketball. Defense has been solid. The 3-point shooting has been phenomenal. Last I checked, he was shooting like 43% from 3 on 7.8 attempts. It's probably gone down since then, but he's basically he's averaging, I think, 19 and 6, which is kind of wild. Like he's been playing very good basketball. And I think the key to the Nets is their coach. Shout out to Jordy Fernandez. If y'all don't know who that is, listen to his post games. Like he really focuses on intent and poise, and they move the ball a whole lot, right? The Nets offense is number 10 in the league right now. Right?
Crazy.
Yeah. They play with poise. And like, I thought that this team was going to be Cam Thomas, bad shot after bad shot, and we'll just watch it. But this team has actually been way bigger than Cam Thomas. I've seen this team win games where Cam has 15 points because they play as a unit, right? I want to give a special shout out to another player who I told you was literally another Tobias Harris and Cam Johnson. He hasn't been Tobias this year. I've been able to see him on the floor because he's getting to the basket more. He is really shooting the ball effectively from three. This Nets team has a lot of good things going for it, which is funny because we all expect them to bottom out super early, and they've been the opposite of that. Right now, they're like, I think like maybe like a top 5 seed in the East right now.
Let's see. They would be right now number 4 seed in the East right now.
Yeah, see?
That's crazy. Yeah, they're trading everybody at the trade deadline. They're not letting
it's chop. Yeah, no.
They probably like have y'all fun now because all of y'all up out of here. Because
it's been good basketball to watch, though. I've been entertained by watching it, truly. Did not expect that. Yeah.
That's what's up. I mean, shout out to you for watching a lot. I mean, the Brooklyn Nets, especially after we played them, like the Brooklyn Nets they've been playing a lot better. And it's not just Cam Thomas jacking up shots. Like I really did. And I said that all offseason. Cam Thomas is about to be shooting. That's all I kept saying.
Same.
And he's only averaging, I think, like 19 shots per game. So he's not even going crazy. They're playing really good. They're balancing out as a team. That's been really good to see. But everybody's still up out of there. They up out.
Most likely. Yeah.
Yeah. A surprise for me, and it's a surprise in the sense that not that I didn't necessarily expect it. I didn't expect it this early though. LaMelo Ball is hooping.
Oh, he's been great.
LaMelo Ball is hooping, my boy. Like,
yes,
and it's. I still would like to see him a little bit more engaged on the defensive side of the ball, personally. But what he's doing scoring wise. 28 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal and a half per game. He needs to get those turnovers down, but LaMelo Ball
looks easy too.
Hooping. Yeah, and it seems like he has either the game is slowed down for him or he's really taking this game to the next step. Now, I need to see the Charlotte Hornets win a few more games. They're 3-5 so far in the season, but I love what I'm seeing from LaMelo Ball individually. He's been hooping this season.
No, listen, I think he's been good. I said this already. I think LaMelo has looked way better than Halliburton, who was an all-NBA player last year. And I'm like, I got to say this too. Like, I don't think we ever questioned LaMelo's talent. We questioned, could he put it together? And more importantly, can he stay healthy? Because my thing is like, this looks great right now. But if he finishes the season only playing 22 games again, how much value is really going to be there for it, right? I've also liked watching the Hornets play. Brandon Miller, I hate the early injury he got because in that same game, he postered the hell out of somebody. I forgot who. He is going to be very, very good for this team as well. So I like the Hornets too, man. Like I said earlier, I think the Hornets are probably a play-in team this time around. I think they can make that final 10, and they're showing it right now.
Yeah, for sure. And like we all talked about before, last time LaMelo Ball was fully healthy, it was a 43-win team. And this team is a lot better than that team was if they could stay fully healthy and keep their head out their asses. Like, and I really enjoy watching Charlotte Hornets basketball right now. So shout out to LaMelo Ball for hooping. What you got next, Gift?
Got to go with Pistons, man. Got to. No Asor Thompson for the season right now because of blood clot, which I didn't really expect them to not have. Kate Cunningham has looked sensational. 2 back-to-back games with a triple-double. I'm pretty sure the Vorp man, Santi Aldama, is not getting no damn, he's not getting 17-point triple-doubles. That's Kate Cunningham. Please and thank you. I kept trying to people last year. Kay is in a bad situation, and guess what? He still is. But I have to say this, the shooting that they got around him is better. And as someone that's watched every Detroit Pistons game, shout out to Tim Hardaway because his fake shooting has been sensational for them to start the year. That's been like really much needed off the dribble fake shooting. That's been great. But Tobias Harris, yeah, you're ass. Like nothing has changed with you. You are awful at basketball. And like it's like it's a painful type of awful too, because I'm seeing these games, right? I think they're right now 3-5. I think 3-5, right?
Yeah.
Quite literally, in the games that they have lost, Tobias down the stretch, specifically against Boston and the Pacers, for sure those two games, Tobias is in the corner taking these shots, cannot hit wide open threes in the second half of these games. I'll give you another example that's etched in my brain, Hayes. After the show, feel free to look it up if you want. Tobias Harris had a possession where Cade gave him the ball at the top of the key versus Boston in the fourth quarter, right? Much needed, like they needed to win this game. Boston was not shooting the ball well. Luke Cornett is on Tobias Harris. Tobias drives, Luke Cornett blocks his shot. You can't get by Luke Cornett. Tobias Harris cannot beat Luke Cornett off the dribble, and literally his lack of knocking down these shots is why they lost these games, because it's crazy because every shot he missed, they would get the rebound and score. And it's like, damn, if you could have knocked that down, it's like a 6-point swing damn near. So that's been tough, but Cade has looked good, man. And I think there's more growth for his game to come. Also, shout out to Jaden Ivey. Monty Williams, you are a bad coach, because he legit was trying to play Killian Hayes over this player. And now Jaden Ivey looks like a phenomenon for them, right? He's literally shooting over 40% from three as well right now.
And that's the thing that with that team last year is that Monty, and that's why I was always perplexed by the fact that when you had to go to Monty Williams 3 times and make him one of the highest paid coaches in the NBA just for him to accept the job, he didn't believe in these players. And I think that's evident by how much better all these guys are playing. You know, Tobias Harris wasn't there last year. Nobody expects anything from Tobias Harris, but these young guys playing so much better. Belief goes a long way in players playing well. It just does. So next thing that's a surprise but shouldn't be, I'm surprised that Milwaukee Bucks fans are acting surprised that their team sucks. That's what I'm surprised by.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. We knew the Bucks would be rough.
Yeah.
I didn't see 1-6 though. Did you see 1-6 coming?
I didn't see 1-6. I won't front run and act like I saw 1-6. But the how they got to 1-6 though. The fact that they're terribly defensively. They're terrible at teams that like to play with pace. Guess what? The whole entire league is playing with pace right now. They're terrible at playing against those teams. They look slow and old. People acting surprised by how. Like 1-6 is crazy for the talent that they have there. You would think that Giannis and Dame alone would keep them from being 1-6, but the hows, the reasons why, I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah, I want to point this out real quick. So this was posted on November 4th. We got to see how the rest of the season goes. These are point totals for guards who go against the Milwaukee Bucks. Darius Garland, 39 points. Kobe White, 35 points. I watched the game. He had 7 threes. It was crazy. Cam Thomas, 32 points. Donovan Mitchell, 30 points. Dennis Schroeder, 29 points. Peyton Pritchard, 28 points. John Morant, 26 points. They have a terrible perimeter defense. And it's crazy because it's not like Giannis has been bad to start. It's not like Dame has been overtly bad to start. They both have had games. Like they had a game collectively where I think they both combined for like nearly 75 points and they still lost the game.
Yep.
Right. Got blown out by the Nets. So like to me, this is a indictment on the roster. Doc Rivers, I for life of me will never understand how you as an organization think it made sense to fire Coach Budenholzer, who's the only proven coach to make it work. You literally won a title with Budenholzer. I get it. The adjustments in the playoffs he wasn't making, fine, but the system was there. You could have got some better assistant coaches around him to help really bolster that up. You didn't do that. You hire Adrian Griffin. You start out your season 30-13, right? Now, I watched those games. I didn't think he was a good coach. I didn't. But I'm like, okay, you fire him. To me, the issue isn't firing Adrian. Like, sure.
It's who you hired.
You like what in your right mind tells you replacing him with Doc Rivers is going to maximize it when this is the other thing, right? The biggest issue I have with the Bucks is you have young players in Beauchamp, Drake, like younger players that if they got the reps last year, instead of just not playing for veteran players who are not on the team this year, if they got the reps, maybe this year they could have turned into those players who have skill sets that you need to fix your issues. But instead, they didn't play. Now they're not ready to play this year either. and now you're stuck in no man's land. And bro, the funniest shit about this entire situation, Hayes, is if they fire Doc Rivers this season, Darvin Ham becomes their head coach. Like, how did you let that happen? What are they doing?
I don't know, bro. I wish I had an answer for you. I don't know. It's been trash. It's what it's been. It's absolutely
been trash,
bro. Like it's just when you look at the series of events that got you here, it's really a comedy of errors, bro. One after another after another. Like I get it. They were looking already to fire Coach Bud before they won the title. The title saved Coach Bud's job, got him another couple of extra years. They move on from him. And to your point, it's not like Adrian Griffin was doing anything amazing. It seems like the players are over him as well. But at the same time, like you fired a coach that was 30-13, and then you brought in Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers. You brought in Doc to be the guy to get your team over a hump. That was never going to work out. Never going to work out. And now you've seen your pieces age. Brooke Lopez is not having the same impact he had last year. He's still doing some rim protection things, but he's not nearly having the same impact he's had before. Bobby Portis isn't the same player he was on that championship run at all. Still a solid player. And then, of course, you got Middleton out, but it's like at this point, Middleton's not coming back and saving you from shit. I don't know how this team gets better this year. I don't know.
You know what? So the other thing that like made it so mind-boggling again, because like I will die on the hill that Doc made no sense for this team. Why are you hiring the same guy that reportedly was giving consultations to Adrian Griffin? So the entire time you got issues with Adrian Griffin, the guy that's giving him advice on coaching at the same time, literally his mentor in that spot, you choose to hire him then. Like it looks like a clown show. And now they're in a position where, well, damn, if we fire Doc, we look bad. We don't look like we know exactly what we're doing. So we're not going to fire Doc. And then like it continues to not get maximized. It's just bad, bro. I also had a stat I read where teams that start 1-6 in the history of the NBA, I think it's like a 200 plus team sample size. Only 12 of them have made the playoffs.
That's crazy.
Only 12. And two teams in the East that are 1-6 right now, the Sixers and the Bucks. Now, to be fair to the Sixers, not the Bucks, because I don't know about them, they at least have not had their best player play a single game yet.
Yeah.
The Bucks, like you got Giannis and Dame. I get that there's no Chris Middleton, but bro, it can't be this bad though.
It is. We're here. We're here.
Yeah,
we're seeing.
Hey man, shit is insane. Like they're literally the worst team in the Eastern Conference. If I told you 10 games in, the Bucks are going to be the worst team in the Eastern Conference, you would laugh at me probably.
Yeah. It's not that I expect them to be great or anything like that. Like I think I said like the Bucks are probably going to win a lot of regular season games, but they're not going to do anything in the playoffs. Like at this point, the Bucks. I mean, I do expect them to turn around to a degree, but like, we're talking about the 9th seed, the 10th seed for the Bucks. Like, what do you think the ceiling is right now for the Bucks with what you've seen?
The ceiling, shit. If everything clicks, they're probably. It's weird because I can still see them turning things around and be a good regular season team. Like I can see them being a top 5, top 6 team based off of the injuries that have happened so far with Paolo going down for the Magic and whatnot. I can see that, but I still think their flaws are going to get exposed in the playoffs a little bit.
We'll see. We shall see. Anything left that surprised you so far this season, good or bad?
What else has surprised me this season? I already mentioned Jordan Poole and like the Wizards. They have definitely been surprising. Honestly, no. I think everything else. Maybe Denver, but that's not surprising. We already said that was going to happen with Denver, so I'm not really too surprised. Yeah, that's really it for me. I think everything else. Maybe Phoenix. I think Phoenix
is a good one.
Start.
Yeah.
I thought Phoenix would be like a 5 or 6 seed just based off the talent, but Bradley Beal looks way better than before. Like, it's not even close. Like, his value that he's having for them now is miles better. Also, shout out to Ryan Dunn actually being like a good player defensively who can shoot the ball. That changes a lot for them as well if he can be real. So I'm gonna give it up to them for sure. Yeah, them.
Yeah, the Phoenix Suns being 7-1 has been a surprise because, like, while I thought Tyus Jones was really going to help that team, this team seems like it's really benefiting off just understanding and knowing how to play off each other a little bit more. KD's been great. Bradley Beal's been really good as well. Tyus Jones has come in and done exactly what he needed to do as a point guard for this
Playing
team.
really well.
Yeah, and it's just like it's just fitting together so much better than what it looked like last year. And their defense isn't horrible either. Like it's not great still. They're right around the middle of the pack of defensive efficiency and points allowed per game. But like that's good for what their ceiling is offensively. That's perfectly fine. Now, I'm not saying how far they can go in the playoffs or anything like that. But like for them to be this good at the start of the season, you got to give them a lot of credit. And like I said, all those pieces playing so well right now. I love to see it. So.
Big shout out to Mike Budenholzer. I knew he was a good system coach. I said coming in, while I don't like the Suns roster, Bud as a coach system-wise can craft a good principled offense and a good structured defense. I thought he would bring more balance than Frank Vogel. I think so far we've seen that.
Yeah. Coach Bud, again, the coach that that the Milwaukee Bucks were just over here having some success with a star-laden team. Who would have thought it?
Bro, if they fire the head coach, do you realize Giannis will have gone through 4 coaches in 2 years?
Yep.
That is insane to me, bro. Oh my god.
Yep.
Wild.
That would be the case, man. Yeah. Anything left gifted, man, before we get up out of here?
Yeah, I'm excited for hoops, man. We got some more things coming up. I've been watching again a lot of these bad teams. I gotta say, Utah's probably the most unwatchable team right now. I expect them to probably start to fire sale some of their players early. I don't think the magic that they had last year is going to come back this year at the beginning of the season. I think they're just not good. So seeing what they do should be super duper interesting. I'm curious about the arms race with Zach LaVine because Zach's looked good, like very good to start the year. And what happens with that? Because there's got to be some teams that are going to be desperate and want to call for him.
And Zach is having the best two-way impact he's ever had in his career. I think Zach is on pace, if this continues, to have his first plus defensive season of his career, which is crazy. Because everybody's making about his offense, which he's been extremely efficient offensively. But then when you go into the analytics and break everything down, like he's been solid defensively this whole entire year. Like he still does some Zach LaVine things defensively. I mean, he's not a great on-ball defender, but where Zach used to really get blown up at it, he was fall asleep off ball. And so far he's been very engaged so far this season. Him and Vooch are both having some of the best years that they've had in the last 2 or 3 years. And that may benefit the Bulls if they do try to look to move them, which I think is something Mark Stein came out with today, that the Bulls do plan on making them available at the trade deadline. So we'll see what happens for that team. So
absolutely. I'll be locked in for that for sure. We'll see.
Yeah. But nothing else, man. That's our time for today. We appreciate you guys for tuning in from the logo. We will be back on Tuesday. So make sure you guys stay in tune with us then. ZZ should be back then as well. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all go and check out Gifted as well. But that's it for us for today. We'll see y'all on Tuesday. That's it.
Have a great night. Watch some hoops. We still got 3 games
hoops. On. Actually, watch hoops, not box scores, by the way. Go and watch some basketball.
What he said. Peace out, people.
Yeah, peace.